Hello, welcome to another tutorial, and this time it's a multi-pocket tote, and when it's from the inside it looks like this, and then obviously from the outside that's what it looks like. It's from the book Totally Amazing Bags by Helen Angarad Henley, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and we're going to do a multi-pocket tote. So I'm going to zoom down and trying to get this in focus. This is what you need if you want to make. So let's just start with the first bit then. Right then, this is what the pattern looks like. It basically starts from, let's take you up so you can see. If you measure 9 inches across the bottom from one side to the other corner, and then measure up from that line and create another line 13.5 inches across there, then make that so it's 13.5 inches from the 9 inches line at the bottom to the top, then make the bottom the top line 8 inches across, then draw a line to join the 8-inch line and the 9-inch line, and you will end up with that shape, as you can see. So it's 9 inches across the bottom, 13.5 inches from the bottom to the top, and the bottom line across is 8 inches. Now this pattern is in 3. I'll show you the original pattern. So that's what size it actually comes out as. And as you can see, we've got pattern 1 is the whole thing. So pattern 1 is the whole thing. Pattern 2 is from the bottom line up to the first line, which measures 10 inches. So that area there is pattern 2, this area. So within the first pattern you've got the second pattern. The third pattern is from the top down 2.5 inches, and then that line across represents the distance of 2.5 inches from the top, and that is pattern 3. There you go, so you've got pattern 3, which is in there, pattern 2, which is in there, and the whole thing is pattern 1. So once you've drawn that out on a piece of paper, then you'll understand exactly what this is. So that's pattern 1, the whole thing, pattern 2 up to the first, which is there, and pattern 3, which is the top. Now also, once you've done your pattern, you place each time you cut a piece out on pattern 1, pattern 2 and pattern 3, you place on the fold. Always place on the fold to get this size. So obviously half of this is all of pattern 1, but when you place it on the side, on the fold, you get this size. You get that size there. So that's what my outer fabric on the measurements I've called flower, and then obviously this is my lining, and then you've got your fleece and your interfacing. Both the fleece and the interfacing is iron-on. So let's get back down to the measurements. Pattern piece 1, that's the whole thing, is 2 of the flower, 2 of the lining, 2 of the fleece and 2 of the interfacing. Pattern piece 2 is 1 of the flower, 1 of the lining, 1 of the interfacing. Pattern piece 3 is 2 of the lining, 2 of the interfacing and 2 of the lining again. These are separate things that you cut out with no interfacing. Sorry, there is interfacing but there's no pattern. Sorry, I do apologise for that. There's no you don't use this pattern, you just measure. So it's 2 at 1.5 by 4 inches in lining fabric, and you've got 2 11 at 6 and times 6.5 inches in the flower and interfacing fabric, and then you have 2 9 by 7 inch lining and interfacing. Then you have 2 times 32 times 2 inches in your flower fabric, and 2 times 32 times 1 7/8 in your lining, and the bottom one is for handles. I hope you can see all that, and then you'll be able to freeze and copy it down as well as me telling you. You also need 1 6-inch tape, sorry, 1 6-inch zip, a 14-inch zip and 2 yards of 3/4 of an inch fusible hemming tape. Now I assume, I haven't been looked through the pattern yet, but I assume that this is for the handle. So if you haven't got this, I should imagine you'll be able to cut that from your fusible interfacing. So first instruction, it says fuse the fusible fleece and medium weight fusible interfacing to the corresponding pieces following the package instructions. The only fusible fleece needed is for the outer fabric, that's a large fabric. So I could just take you back to have a look at that one, and obviously then all the others are the fusible interfacing. So take you back a bit, have a quick look at that. So that's that size, that's that one, that's the fusible fleece, that's the only 2 you cut out. All the rest, which is that side, has lining and a couple of pieces of the outer fabric, has got the fusible interfacing. So I've got my tab's based on either side of my 14-inch zip, and basically all you do is fold 1/2 inch in on both sides, turn it in to the corner, doesn't matter about the raw edges on the edge because that's going to be sewn into your facings, and then attach it to the zip across the top. When you've done that both sides, then you want your zipper top facing without the interfacing at the back, plus one of your zipper facings with the interfacing that's being ironed on, and then you make a sandwich. You put that one at the bottom that hasn't got any facing, then you put your zipper on the top section. I've made sure that mine's centrally in the middle position, and then you put the one with the interfacing on the top and then pin all the way down, and the hem for this is 1/4 inch. So there it is, sandwiched in between the two, and obviously layered evenly along the edges, and then 1/4 inch, and it's facing up. The first time you put this in, the zip is facing up. You sew it halfway and then pull the zip back this way so it doesn't go in the way of you finishing the zip, and that's what it looks like the first time. So you repeat on the other side. So this is the way it comes off, and obviously you've got to pin that away so you can complete the exercise the other side with the other two facings. So just pin it together to keep it out of the way. So this is this side done. I don't know if you've noticed, but your facings have got a slight, where you've got slightly smaller at the bottom and slightly wider at the top, and that's both ends obviously. So therefore the zipper goes on the wider end, and that's for both, the same both sides. So when doing the other side, you put this side that you've already done pinned out the way. Underneath you've got the one that hasn't got any interfacing ironed onto it. You need to put this so that the zipper is level with the top, and making sure obviously that these go either side and level, so it's in the centre like this. And then this is the one with the facing. Obviously you've got one wider edge and one shorter edge, so you want the wider together. Put it on top, and then obviously making sure they're all sandwiched together equally, then you pin together starting from one end. Make sure the zipper, ignore this if it goes over, because you'll be sewing that inside out the way, making sure everything's level. And yet that black, mine's a black zipper, so making sure that mine is level with the top, and then that's level with the top of the zipper, and it's level at the ends. Then I can pin the first one on, and then working your way down, making sure all three layers are level at the top. And then sew 1/4 inch just like you did the other side. So that's what it looks like all pinned together. As you can see that the tabs are actually sticking out, but it's all sandwiched, and that tab then will be sewn in 1/4 inch from the top, and then you won't see that, it'll seal the tab in. As you can see, its zip is completely closed in. You've got two facings at the bottom, which were non-interface, iron-on interfacing, and the two at the top which are. And then pull your zip all the way down, you've got a completely enclosed zip, facings at the top, facings at the bottom. The next bit to do is to press them open so that they're completely pressed away from the zipper, bottom and top, and then it says to top stitch. Doesn't actually say, it just says then top stitch close to the seam along the length of the zipper, and then across the zipper tabs at each end. Because it pressed down really well back and front, I didn't think it necessarily to go right next to the edge, so I did a 1/4 inch, or just slightly over 1/4 inch, and I actually think it looks pretty good. So and then the zip opens up quite nicely. There you go, so that's the top of the zipper and there's the bottom. This next section, that you've just finished it like that, and there's your zip, still keeping the zip on this side so you can follow me. If you turn it, then you obviously got the 2 upper facings and the 2 lower facings. Make your way to the edge, and they should align equally. So pin, and then pin the lower 2. So basically you've sort of like got a boat shape. So pin. So basically now you sew. I assume it's 1/4 inch. It doesn't say, so we'll do a 1/4 inch again. From down there to that corner, across the zipper. So it's going to be really thick on that section, and then down to the bottom section. So a 1/4 inch, and follow it, because it's, don't forget it's sloped. So it'll slope that way and then that way, and then pin the top 2 this side again, and the bottom 2, making sure it's all aligned at the bottom and the top level, and then whatever happens in the middle you just push it together and that should align. And then again sew, sloping it that way, and then when you get to the centre, sloping it that way, and then we'll come back. So there's that, and it's like a boat shape on the inside, look. And then the next bit, and you've sewn both ends in a slant, 1/4 inch from either way. When you get to the centre you pivot and go down, and then it says flip the zipper over and do the same on the other side of the facing. Right, I've done that. Roll the lower facings over the upper facings, wrong sides together. So obviously we'll roll that over like that. Roll it over this side, that's wrong sides together. Oh, well, that's not right, because the zip's on the other side. Oh, and then you flick, hang on a minute, and then you flick. That still makes the zip on the wrong side. Oh, then you flick back that way, I should assume. Hang on, flick. Oh, that had me worried. And you flick it that way. Right, I'll just read it to you. Roll the lower facings over the upper facings, wrong sides together. Finger pressing the side seams you have just stitched open. You will be left with your completed zipper facing lining side out. Yep, that's aligning with the interfacing that's not. Yep, that's right, so I did right. I flipped it one way and flipped it another. And the upper facings and opening edge of the zipper on the inside. Zigzag around the top raw edges. I assume it wants you to zigzag these together shut. So you see where it's not finished there, so you're going to have to be careful of that. I'm going to have to go back and probably catch that in a little bit. So I've got to go back a couple of spots. Let's just check this side. That seems absolutely fine that way. Perhaps I need to just go over slightly, because I've still got a raw edge there, so I need to catch that in as I'm sewing down. So let's just have a quick look at that. So that bit is just there, look. Just there, so I need to catch that in. So as you can see, what I did was coming slightly further in to make sure it was just slightly over 1/4 inch, and then when you put it back, just pull, making sure that everything's been pulled out and pushed in and where it's supposed to go. And then obviously the zipper's facing the right way up. It's all encased and the zipper opens and it's like a boat shape. So you've got 4 facings. There, look, there you go. And then it says to zigzag, encasing all the raw edges around the top. So I assume you put your seams together at the sides, pin it all the way around, and then zigzag. So I've done a very, very small zigzag on the outside. I pinned it all together, made sure all 3 layers were matching, and then did a very small zigzag on the outside just to keep it together. I assume that will be covered when you actually attach it to the bag. So I'll find out what we're going to do next and come back. So with the handles, it's fold over, crease of the iron, and then fold each end towards the crease, which makes it 1 inch across. Then do that to both sides. These are called reversible straps, so it doesn't matter which way you put them really. And then this is what I suppose the windweb's for. What it wants you to do then is put this on top of one of them and make a sandwich. So I'll put that there on top of the other one. Then you sandwich wrong sides together. And then pin. I suppose it wants you to pin so nothing moves. And once you've pinned, then press, and then it seals them both together. So there they are, pinned together. They're sandwiched, the 3 layers, and then press. And that's to melt the hemming tape so they stick together. So I've done Yep, that worked out absolutely fine. There it is, both sides. And then I assume you sew it. We'll just have a quick look. What it's saying is then top stitch together. And I should cut mine off there. Obviously with this being a handle, it's personal preference of how long that you wish it to be. And then top stitch it across the top, both sides. I should probably do 1/4 inch either side just to make sure they're both secure. So the next stage is to take one of your pattern piece 2, which is your pocket, your flower section or your outer fabric, and your lining section that has been interfaced, and you put them right sides together and then just attach across the top, and then you put them, then you turn it over, press, you press the top flat, your seam flat, and then you top stitch. That's just that top section across the top, nothing else at the moment. So this next section is once you've done your pocket piece with your lining and your front piece, then you get one of your outer fabrics, the pattern 1 that's had the fleece on, which is this one, and then you pin the pocket to it. Measure across the top find halfway and pin, measure across the bottom, find halfway and pin, and then draw a line from that pin to that, and then sew down the middle, and that's your dividing line. And then do a small zigzag around the edge of your bag at both sides and across the bottom. So the next section is to get your other piece of pattern 1, which is fleeced, and then you line it front right sides together with the one that you put the pocket on, which is there, right sides together, and your seam allowance for this is 3/8 of an inch. So, and you just do all 3 sides, and then we have to do the bottom in each corner, where we have to square off the corners. So now you're going to do the corners. You put your hand inside the bag and then you flatten it out. So you've got the bottom seam and your side seam. So, and then that's it, flatten it out, and you have to make sure that they're nestled together. Now if you can't do it by feeling, then look inside. Make sure it's completely flat, nestled together, and then once you've got them together, pin them across, keeping them together. Trying to put as many pins as I can because I can't actually feel. Now I've looked again and I've kept them straight. So and I'm pulling them apart. Check again if you want to, make sure. To me that looks absolutely fine, so it's nice and flat. And you measure 2 inches up from the bottom. Now you don't measure 2 inches right from this edge. You want to do it where the V meets. So right from the seam edge, 2 inches, and then draw a line 2 inches up from where the V meets. Draw a line, and then make sure you're straight. Draw a line across there, and then you sew across your line, and you do the same on the other side. Do one at a time. Now before that's it sewn across, before you cut that end off, turn it the other way round to make sure that them seams are meeting, and they are. Look, so you've got the one across and the one down, and I'm happy with that, so therefore now I can cut that across. Make sure it's flat and there's nothing in the way the other side, and then cut across. Probably leave half an inch because it's rather thick. There you go. So and then do the same the other side. Put your hand inside, make it flat, and then push down, and then make sure it's level, and you've got your seams together. If it's easier to do it from this side than do it from that side, although it's not because you can't see. So it's just a matter of making sure that the inner seam is where you want it. Just mess about with it till you get it straight, until you get it exactly how you want it, till your seams are meeting, and then pin. There you go. check again now you've got it fixed. Measure 2 inches from where the V is, not from the top of the fabric there, but where the V is, 2 inches, which is there. Draw a line across. Make sure that it's still together, yes, and then sew. Double checking, making sure when you sew this together, go over it several times at the start and at the end. It's very thick. Before you turn through, make sure that it's together. If it is, the seams are in the line on the top of each other. Cut the bottom off, leaving half an inch or a quarter of an inch. This is rather thick, so, and then turn it round the other way, and that's the outer bag finished with your outer pocket and your two. There's your outer pocket, what you did before, and there's your seams. Look, one there and one there. There you go, so that's that section done. So you need one of your back panels, which is pattern 1, and your lining that's been interfaced. One of your, I think this is the 9-inch panel, and this is where you're going to put your 6-inch zip. So I've done some diagrams. This across here is 6 1/4 inch by 3/8 of an inch. It's an inch down from the top of the panel, and it's 3 inches down from the top of the lining back panel, pattern 1. So it's 3 inches, and then centrally fitted on your width. Then you start drawing an inch down, and it's 6 1/4 inch by 3/8 of an inch. Put centrally across the 9-inch panel, and then and I've drawn in the middle where you cut afterwards, and then you cut from into each corner at the side from there like a triangle, and then this is then, once you've cut that through, this is when you push this through the other side, but that's after you've done your sewing of your zip. You sew all the way across on the outside line first, across the bottom, and then across that way, and then across that side, and that's when you put this, but this goes to the back. So I'll do that bit and I'll tell you what to do next. I've sewn it all the way around the outside. Now I'm going to cut, making sure that I do cut the triangles to each corner, but not through any of the stitches. Here it is cut, and as you can see, just inside the stitch line on either side I put pins, and then pins stop me from going any further than what I should do. So then I'll cut it on the line, and I'll cut the triangles at the side. So I'll take the pins out. Now it'd be an idea if you press this, but I'm just going to show you. And then you push all this all to the back. So pull it all the way through. Now take it to your ironing board, manipulate it, mess with it until it's nice and flat. It will work. As long as you cut it right, it will work. So I'll come back when I've done that. Once you've pressed it, this is the rear. I'm not too worried about any creases this side. This is the side that you need to worry about. Should be able to press things out as much as possible to get it as neat and tidy as possible, and it creates a letterbox effect. And this is where your zip goes. So you put the zip closed underneath, and as you can see, you can align the zip centrally, and that's how it works once it's sewn in. What you do now, put the zip where you want it, and hopefully in the centre, pin it all the way around, and using your zipper foot, sew it in, and whatever colour cotton. So there it is. I've pinned up mine with a pin. You can see there it is. So I've pinned exactly where I want it to be, and I can still move my zip and turn it over. That's what it looks like from the reverse. Don't forget you've got to come across. So I'd go over about 1/4 of an inch, making sure you still catch your zip ends, but go over the end. Go past this end about 1/4 of an inch, so you can still catch everything in. Anyway, I'll come back when I've sewn it. So there's mine sewn in. Can you see where mine's dipped slightly? Another thing what I did do is I reduced my stitch length to make all this stronger, or all the sewing of this. I just dipped slightly just here. So what I've learnt from this exercise is that when I come to this stage, just like I did this side, when I was sewing the panel on to go through, when I drew on it, I'm going to draw a line all the way around this, exactly where I want to stitch, and then if I stick to that line, I know it's going to be straight. So that's something I've learned for my next one. So this is the reverse of where your zip's just been put through. This is your other panel that's 9 inch across, and this is where you put it together right side, so that when you go through your zip, you can actually see the right side of the fabric. Pin it all the way around and sew it on. Well, that's my attempt anyway, and zip works. If I put my hand inside, it is a pocket, so it's an inside pocket, and it's secure all the way around. That's what the back looks like. I did mine up, I think it was about 1/2 an inch, 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch to sew it on. It's neat and tidy at the back, neat and tidy at the front, and the zip works. But you've now created an inside pocket. These are the two outer fabric pieces, 11.5 by 6.5, interfaced. Put them right sides together and sew all the way around 3/8 of an inch, leaving a 3 inch to 4 inch gap where you can pull it through. So there's mine, turned through, pulled through, and top stitched across the bottom, pressed, clip right. Let's start again. So there's mine finished. Once you've sewn it all the way around, 3/8 of an inch, then you clip your corners, pull it through, press out any corners, and press it and close your gap, and then top stitch it. Now you could top stitch all the way around. I just top stitch the bottom edge just to secure that, and that's mine finished. So there's mine, marked with a line all the way across, 3.5 inches down from the top. I drew a line all the way across and placed it along the edge. I folded this in half, found halfway, found my halfway, this is 8 inches, and then put the marks together, and I know it's exactly in the middle. Pin, and then sew. Now you do 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, or 3/8 of an inch, whatever you wish. Decorative stitch, it's up to you. And there's mine done. I did 1/4 of an inch on 3 sides, and there's my patch pocket all on ready. And I've pressed it, and as you can see, the erasable marker pen has disappeared. I've just got to press inside to make that one disappear. So there you go, that's the next stage. I'll find out what we're going to do next. So then what I decided to do was just mark the centre of the patch pocket and stitch a line straight down the middle, and I've made 2 pockets instead of 1. And I think it's ideal then for putting your pens and your purses and your phones, bits of change and money and things in, etc, etc, and sweeties of course. These are your 2 lining pieces with your pockets. This one is your zip, this one is your patch. Pin them together so you've got your 2 lining pieces, your large ones that you've just done your pockets on, right sides together. You're going to sew 1/2 inch all the way around, leaving a gap at the bottom, and this is how I've left mine, and I've actually measured it, of 8 inches from there to there. When you've put the whole bag together, this will be, I assume, where you're going to pull the whole bag through, so it's got to be at least 8 inches across the bottom. Measure that, make sure you get it central, because what you did on the outside corners for your outside bag to square them up, which is this one, you're going to now be doing again for this one, which don't forget is when you flatten all your seams together, is you measure 2 inches in, sew it across, and then cut your corners off. I'm not going to show you that again because we've already done it once. All the way around, 1/2 inch seam allowance, except for this bottom bit, 8 inch gap, and then square off your 2 corners. As you can see, that's my bag done with the ends already done. Now as you can see the side, they slightly don't match the seams. Because that's the lining, I'm okay with that, it's not too far out. If that had been the outer bag, I would have undone that and re-sewn it, getting them exactly level, and before I cut the corner off. So there's my 8 inch gap at the bottom, so it's been turned out through ready. Right, we've got the outer bag with the pockets facing up. We've got the lining with the zipper at the back and inside out, and there's the 8 inch gap at the bottom. So we just leave that to one side in that position. We need that with the pockets facing up in that position, and we have this bit which is your zipper facing. I'll try and explain this as best as I can. As you can see, I've got the zipper facing basically turned that way. In fact, I like the zipper on my left. So we'll put the zipper head on the left with the zipper facing down. So basically it's a boat with the zipper at the bottom. Okay, now when you've put your handles on, I think I told you wrong before, 3.5 inches from the sides all the way, all 4, with 1 inch of the raw edge coming above the bag. So there you go, inch above the bag, and then based across 1/4 inch, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you how to put that zipper on. Right, so that's 1 inch top of the raw, with the raw edge sticking above the bag 1 inch, and the handles down the bottom facing down. So you've got your 3 items ready. There's your boat. Your zip is open fully, and what you do is put the zip over the edge with your facing up. Make sure you've got the back and the front all fully encompassed. I know it looks funny, as you can see, look, it looks funny, but then you have to make sure that you pin the facing side seam, make sure it's open, because it's going to be really thick if nothing's open. Make sure all your seams are open. All your seams are open, and then pin. I'm going to put 2 pins in there so I know where it is. If I can get them, don't forget it's very, very thick. You might have to do a longer stitch. So, side seams, both sides.
Side seams, both sides, seam open, pinned. Right, now pin, get round the top. Hopefully, if everything's been sewn right, it should fit. Just in a couple of places, because we've got to put the lining on, so it'll all get pinned together. Just to make sure that it's in the right place when you put the lining through. Obviously, if it's small, you're going to have to try and stretch it slightly, and if it's bigger, you're going to have to try and tweak it a little bit, but make sure the loops are even on either side. It's just about to fit in. Normal. I'll turn it round and do the other side. I know it looks weird. You have to do some pulling. Some fitting. Making sure your handles are straight. This is why you have your zip wide open, so it gives you more room to manoeuvre. It'll be a bad job to secure. No, mine's going to be a little bit too big, so I'm going to continue to tape it over.
I'd rather have the pleat one end on one side and the other, and if there's any pleats right next to the seam. Look, that's the way I'm going to put that. If I've got any extra, pleat it right next to your seam at the end. Then you put, remember, you zip at the back, inside, right sides together with your outer bag, right sides together, and pull it all in, making sure that they're all tucked in and out the way at the bottom. There you go. Now again, side seams, making sure that your side seams are open. These are the 2 pins here, put them on top and pin the side seams together. Go to the other end, grab your side seams, open up your side seams and pin where your 2 are. And then proceed to use the pins you put in before to make sure all 3 layers there you go then, it's all now basted together. There you go, all three. And obviously then, that's where you're going to put it through. I would do 1/2 inch. I would do at least 1/2 inch, not 3/8, just to make sure that you are catching everything. Right, I've sewn mine, and I did do a 3/8 of an inch, or 4/8, 1/2 inch. I did 3/8, I think, all the way round. There's my sewing at the sides. I have already pulled mine through because I wanted to know whether I'd done it right, and I have. I'll put it back so you can see what it looks like, and then obviously then you cut off some of the bulk. Well, I did 3/8, so I'm quite happy leaving that because I think it'll just add. But if you're doing more than that, you want to take off some of the bulk at the sides or wherever. So that's what it looks like. And then obviously you pull it through. Let's just get you back a bit so we can get more of the bag and start pulling it through. So you can see what it looks like, and this is what yours should. But before you cut anything, pull it through first. You can always push it back and then trim and cut, just in case you have to undo. And when you pull it through, it looks like that. Then obviously then what you would do is press it. Press your ends in on your lining fabric and then sew across. You can either sew it with machine or do a slip stitch. And then once you've pressed it, sewn your bottom up, then you'd open your bag and push it in. You push it all the way down, and this, when you're checking everything, make sure it's caught all the way round. You push it down, it sits across inside. You pull your handles up, it'll help it to sit down, and then you top stitch around the top of the bag. Or do you? Let me just check that bit. My zip's on the right way, look. So if you follow me, you'll know the zip is going to be right, and that's how it ends up. So I'm going to press mine, sew it up, and then we'll come back. So I've pressed mine, pulled it, which helps the ends go in, finger pressed it, and then pressed it with the iron, and then I've worked my way. I've used the same colour. I've worked my way on at the side, double and backed, gone back, and then very close to the edge, and then come off at the edge and gone back and come off again, and that's mine. Mine is secure. Push it in, and I've got it's slightly different to the picture, whereas my zip part is on the front, but I've got 2 pockets at the back. But I'm not particularly bothered. I don't think it matters which way round. It's your personal preference. Now I'm going to press this down. You don't top stitch, obviously, because of the facing, zipper facing, but I'm going to press this.